Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Space Time Smackdown just came out. Well, it actually has been out for like 2 weeks now, but it's been a set that's, I think, been really cool. I think all the new sets in Pocket have been cool so far, and from what I've heard from the community, I think people have generally agreed. But obviously, Pokemon's going to continue adding new sets, and they're going to continue changing the game with every new set. Admittedly, as we get further into Pocket, these sets will presumably have a bit less of a change. Like this set um, is now like a third of the cards in Pocket, I think, somewhere around there. So it is a lot of cards versus later on it will be. We'll see. I think it will be. I think I would not be shocked if we do see some type of rotation. I would not be shocked if we don't either. Potentially, Pokemon might want to change cards and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens in the future. But and there are a few things that are in the regular TCG that I expect to see in Pocket at some point in the future that I really think they should add for some of these. I think they should add probably all of these, but I think they will as well. And I'll talk about how I think they're going to implement them. But Space Time SmackDown introduced a few cards that are pretty game changing. There are, and I talked about these in my video. I think it was like 5 cards you really need to get, but these are also very game changing cards. Cyrus, which is gusting, something we didn't really have. We had Sabrina, which is similar, but Cyrus you can control it. You bring up Pokemon Communication, which we'll get into a bit more in the video, but it does allow you to get certain Pokemon out of your deck in an easier way than you could before, and then the tool cards as well. So I will be talking about things related to some of these cards and cards I do want to see from the regular TCG with changes because regular TCG cards are stronger. This is something to consider. Cyrus and Sabrina are objectively worse than the Boss's Order supporter card in the regular TCG, which is like Cyrus, but they don't need damage on them, or Sabrina, but you choose. So I do keep that in mind. And let's hop into the first card. Or I guess the cards. This is obviously a card already in Pocket, which is Pokeball. Put a one random basic from your deck into your hand. Then we also just got Pokemon Communication. Pokemon Communication can get any type of Pokemon and any stage of Pokemon, more importantly. So this can get Evolution Pokemon, Stage 1's Basics, and Stage 2's. Obviously, I imagine most of you know where I'm going with this, and that's that I want some way to find Evolution Pokemon. Evolution Incense allows you to search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is the card that I think I'd most want to see in Pocket. You wouldn't search, presumably, it would just get you a random evolution Pokemon. I think it makes sense on Evolution Incense. It could be on, for example, Great Ball as well. Great Ball is an item card that has a unique effect. I could see something like this. I'd probably chop the 7 down to 3, but that's not the card I'm proposing. But I would not be shocked if they put this evolution I'll call it a search effect. You don't choose, but you do get to get an evolution from your deck, and I would not be shocked if we see that stuck onto Great Ball. There is also the card Evo Soda. Evo Soda in the regular TCG is generally worse, a worse version of Evolution Incense. They are two different eras in the standard form, but are both played and expanded some. And Evo Incense is better in the regular TCG because Evo Soda says that you search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon, and it counts as evolving it. But this means you don't like evolve faster; you just evolve normally. Versus Evo Incense, you just get to play the Pokemon down. The main reason this is better, well, there's two reasons why it's better. One, you can thin your deck. This is actually something that I'm not sure how many Pocket players are aware of. It's something that's actually mentioned a lot in the regular TCG, probably a bit more than it is worth, but it is something that is moderately important, and it's not as important in Pocket, but it is still important, and that's getting cards out of your deck so that you have better odds of drawing what you need. So even Instance can get cards you can't play, just random cards to thin your deck. But more importantly is that there are on-play abilities that they're from your hand, so you can only use them with Evo Incense. However, that's not really true in Pocket, as far as I'm aware. I can't think of any off the top of my head that are on play abilities, actually for any Pokemon. So in that regard, Evo Soda would probably be better. The only way it's better and expanded is to get, as far as I'm aware, to bypass playing it from hand, which is specifically good against Pokemon that would stop you from evolving. Which is like Aerodactyl EX in Pocket, but if it's getting a random card, then you would definitely prefer a random card that actually evolves one of your Pokemon in play. meaning that Evo Soda would be way more consistent than Evolution Incense, so they could go that route if they want a more consistent evolution card. I recently made a video, it was yesterday or the day before, I don't remember exactly when, but I talked about the best, or I ranked all the EXs in the new expansion Space Time Smackdown. And if you didn't see, this is a bit of a spoiler, but I ranked all the basics as the top cards. And I stand by that, and that's a lot of what we've seen. If we look at the metagame, we see that Gyarados EX Greninja doesn't have any basic EXs. It does play Druddigon as a basic that is important to the deck, but it's not the main Pokemon. It's the second or third Pokemon. But we see Palkia EX, Darkrai EX, Moltres EX, Celebi EX, some of which are literally like super crucial to the deck, some of which are a little bit less important. But basic Pokemon are super important in the game right now. Pokemon like Magnezone, Magneton, Charizard EX, Executor EX, Gyarados EX, Vaporeon, Greninja. I might have said that twice, but these Pokemon are important as well, but they're not as consistent, right? If you played with evolutions, I mean, if you played with Darkrai EX Magnezone, for example, it's a really common deck. It's a really good deck as well. Then you know that you don't always get the stuff you need. Sometimes you do, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. I made a video talking about that a little bit, but I've talked about it in multiple videos actually, but still, it's a card that Darkrai EX and Druddigon, once they're there, they're there. The Magneton, you need Magneton, Magnezone, Magnemite, you need to do it. Um, you really need them kind of at the right time as well. So Evo Incense is well, okay. You want them as quickly as possible. But Evo Incense and Evo Soda, something like this could make sense. As I said, I would not be shocked if this got stuck onto Great Ball. Pokeball in the regular no, that's Pokeball in the regular TCG is nothing like the Pokeball in Pocket. I don't really know why this is the case. I guess because it's just Pokeball, the generic card, and this is a generic like item or whatever they're called in the game, items, tools, something. And then it's a generic effect in the TCG, but Pokemon Communication is pretty faithful to how it is in the regular TCG. By the way, Pokemon Communication does get evolution Pokemon, but it's not as consistent. It's not an amazing card in Pocket. It's like good, I guess, especially being the only way to get evolution Pokemon out of your deck, but it has severe limitations like it does in the regular TCG. And I've really enjoyed how it's been translated, but it's not the strongest card. Not that it's bad, but something better I think would help out the evolution decks. There's also the card Timer Ball. I honestly am not familiar with the video game. If you know me, I talk about the TCG and I don't talk about the video game. I don't really know what Timer Ball is. I actually don't know what like any of these things are in the video game. I like kind of know Great Ball. But anyway, Timer Ball in the TCG, you flip 2 coins for each head, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand. Obviously, it would be random in Pocket. They could just say get one random evolution of your one random evolution and make it the same effect that I've been proposing, that people have been proposing for a long time, and slap it on Timer Ball. But they could do this double coin flip thing. I don't like this. I really don't like Timer Ball. If you also know me and my talks about Pocket, I'm not a fan of coin flip cards. I know some people do. Um, Timer Ball can be pretty swingy and inconsistent. There's some stuff that has been said that sounded really like serious. So the stuff that people talk about with this video by I want to say it was Control Player Sander as well on featured on I don't remember the channel off the top of my head. I think the series called Pokemath or something. And he talks about like Cyrus and how Cyrus is a card that you get, or how Cyrus is different than Timer Ball, or maybe it was Opal or something. But these double coin flip cards where they are very swingy and potentially a little bit it's worse. These cards are substantially worse than a card like Evo Instance. Timer Ball is like much worse. Getting 2 evolutions is worse worse than the value. It's not twice as good as getting 1 evolution. And so you can just find stuff online about that. But regardless, I would not like to see this double coin flip thing, but they could do it. Pokemon TCG Pocket enjoys coin flips, I guess. They're not. Was gonna make a video on like, oh, there's so many coin flip cards in Pocket, and then I compared it to the regular TCG, and it wasn't that different. There might have actually been less. There are certainly much better cards with coin flips, but anyways, this is definitely the card that I'm pretty sure they're going to add, and I really hope they add. So I spent the longest time on, and I think I have a better idea of how exactly they'll implement it. In some ways, this is like the less interesting one, the low-hanging fruit, because obviously, it's something that's been getting a lot of talk, and people want. But I'm excited to see what they do with this, and I do expect some card like this in the future as well. And I think it'll be a major, or not a major, but a substantial change to Pocket. But there's another card from Pocket that really caught my eye from the new set, which was Garchomp. Garchomp is okay. It's not that good, to be honest. It's kind of weird with its design as well. It doesn't attack and interacts with Cynthia, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter, but not for this video. The thing that caught my eye though which caught my eye a lot, was Garchomp's ability, Reckless Shearing, saying you must discard a card from your hand to use this ability, and then once during your turn you get to draw a card. And this ability is good, I guess. On a stage 2, it's not great. I'd say it's a setup ability. Lets you draw cards, lets you kind of, get set up. But there are other cards that help you get set up. I don't remember if there are attacks that set you up, that like draw you cards from this set. I know there is there's like Combee, but that's a little bit different. But there's like Chatot, and there's also Meow. Oh, it's not the right Chatot. There's Chatot. I forgot there's a second one, from Mythical Island, which is a good card. It's not well, I don't know. It's decent, I think, but I haven't really messed with it or seen people play it too much. Same thing with Meowth. Meowth is solid, but they draw you cards with their attack. However, the Garchomp draws you cards with its ability and can do so every turn. Garchomp obviously is a stage 2, so it's not really helping you set up. You're not going to toss this randomly into decks because, as I said, it's stage 2. It takes a bunch of setup. But this ability on a basic would be too good as well. I mean, it is on stage 2. Yes, it does have other benefits as an attacker. That's why you play it. The ability is more so a nice other thing to have. But I think there's an ability that would work well on basics, and that is actually the same ability as Galarian Articuno V. Which is this ability called Reconstitute here, which says you must discard 2 cards from your hand to use this ability, and then you can draw a card each turn. This is substantially taxing on your resources, but it does let you get through your deck a little bit faster. Garchomp's ability, on the other hand, is one you can use pretty consistently. When I've played against it, people have just used it pretty much all the time. If they have cards left in deck, and it's not really that bad. Galarian Articuno V with this ability here is a pretty big downside. It is on a 2 prize Pokemon, would be a 2-point Pokemon in Pocket. I don't know if it necessarily would need to be 2 points though. I think this on a 1-point Pokemon would be fine. Honestly, I think Pokemon with this ability of Garchomp on a basic could be cool. It would be really good though. Probably noticeably too good. And I wouldn't mind seeing Garchomp's ability be a little better, like discard 1, draw 2. That's actually a lot better. For a more like dynamic Pokemon with the ability being a bigger part, but I think it's fine the way it is. But Galarian Articuno V I think would fit right in. Not the attacker, the HP is like absurdly high for a Pocket, but this card in Standard was kind of bad. I guess it wasn't eligible for City Leagues in this database, but it was played a little bit in Standard, but only a very little bit. I remember seeing it in this Mewtwo v Union deck, which it's okay. I guess it was like good at a point, but anyways, you need to discard a lot. Pocket, so the regular TCG has a lot of discard synergy. Discarding isn't really that bad. In Pocket, it's not great. You're losing the cards forever. There's not really recovery, and there's not really reason to discard either. So Galarian Articuno V is a card that is upside is not really there. There isn't any upside outside of drawing the card, but I think a true draw engine as an ability is something that Pocket's missing. Yes, it will make the game slower, because you're doing this extra thing every turn, and there's probably some animation. Hopefully, I do want them to make the animations a little bit faster. But Galarian Articuno V, I think, is a card that or this ability would fit in really well with Pocket. But I'm interested in hearing down below in the comments, especially about these later things. The first one, as I said, is something that's been getting a lot of talk so far, but especially this ability here, how you would implement this, if you think it would be good in Pocket. But I do think it would be cool. And this would not be a card that's tossed into every deck, but it is still pretty solid. Then, obviously, tools were just added to Pocket. I mean, they were kind of like hinted at in the game, but they were officially added last set. But tools in any type of card in Pocket is supposed to be weaker than the regular TCG. I think tools are really hard to balance. There are three tools. Lumberry is really bad. Um, it might become good. Probably not, though. I don't think it will. Giant Cape and Rock Helmet, though, are both very good cards, in my opinion. Like, they're kind of insane. Um, and I wouldn't mind them actually being toned down a little bit, reducing each their numbers to 10 instead of 20. I think they still could have been fine. But anyways, there are the technical machines. I have TM Devolution as an example. I actually don't really love the way technical machines are handled in standard. There are older technical machines in the regular TCG. I'm not so familiar with them, just kind of be completely honest. Um, I think they're similar, but anyways, the current technical machines are kind of generic. Like they're supposed to be generic, but they're kind of boring, in my opinion. Like they're not really attacks. Like they do something. They are attacks. They let you use attacks on the cards, the attack on the card, and they are discarded after one turn as well. This means that they're tools, but they don't really stay attached. Ultimately, I think the tools staying attached is really important for the early ones, but they can try to spice things up with some other things. Also, Lumberry like falling off, I think is bad. I think it should not be discarded. But anyways, the technical machines are discarded, so you can make them a bit more powerful. They are a bit different. They, as I said, you get to use the attack on the card here, and I would like to see different attacks that are cool. Maybe a spread-based attack. I think spread attacks are cool. In the Pokemon TCG, in some ways it's like a really big deal with Cyrus, but some attack maybe it does like the Hitmonlee's attack or something, 30 snipe somewhere. You could do different things with technical machines. I'd love to see stuff happen with those in Pocket and or in the regular TCG for that matter. There's been 6 in Standard. TM Fluoride is like really bad. I've never seen anyone play this. This is like actually terrible. But then the other ones are okay. They're not that interesting. Technical Machine Evolution's like kind of interesting. It's definitely a good card, but I'd like to see, and also Team Evolution would be like kind of insane. That's probably one that's too good. It's like a lot of search and it's very good. But anyways, Technical Machine Devolution could be cool. It's kind of whatever to be honest, but I couldn't think of any of the ones that I've seen that I necessarily want to add. But I think it's just normal attacks. It could be fun to see on these technical machines to give you, I guess, a better curve, which is like being able to do get like attacks off with your first energy in a deck where you don't necessarily have a one energy attack. So I'd love to see technical machines. Tell me down below in the comments if you think this would be cool as well. I do think these would be cool as additions. I couldn't really think of any other tools either. Well, no, I thought of one more, which I'll get to, but um, I definitely have had trouble kind of tools are really good. I think they're a little overtuned, and I've had trouble thinking of ones that would be balanced. Maybe Vitality Band doing 10 more, but that's like just better Giovanni, which would be really insane. So we'll see. But another card that I think is kind of required in Pocket, to be honest, though I don't know if they'll make, I'm not entirely convinced on this one, but I really want to see it, is a card with the ability Safeguard or some similar ability, which says you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from what are called rule box Pokemon in the regular TCG, not on these types of cards, but Pokemon, the EX Pokemon, right? And anything like that. EXs are like really good. They are definitely controlling the game right now and are kind of hard to get. And people sometimes aren't fans of this, and I kind of agree. But I would like to see an ability like this. Maybe it's just like you take less damage from rule boxes, though I would make it complete immunity. The attack on Mimikyu is like absolutely absurd. And it refers to damage cannons, which also aren't in the regular DC or aren't in Pocket. But anyways, I think Mimikyu or some similar ability could be really nice. I was also going to say Sylveon. Sylveon's worse. Sylveon is an evolution Pokemon. It also does just well against EXs, but that doesn't really matter. However, it is a card that I think might be a bit more on what Pokemon would want from a card like this. Ultimately, could lead to essentially these stalemate games, which is bad. But regardless, I think Sylveon is a card that is, I think, or something like this with the Safeguard ability is something that I do want to see in Pocket. I imagine a lot of other people also do. We'll see if they end up adding this because obviously, you know, it's very good. You probably put on Pokemon with a weaker attack, but still, it needs to be able to do damage, and probably for colorless energy, so that you can't just stick it in a deck and then tie, because ties are not good for the game. I can't imagine. I've never had it happen. But yeah, anyways, I think an ability like this is kind of really important. The last thing that I guess kind of mechanic, not exactly a mechanic, but feature in Pocket that we don't have is recovery. And recovery is getting cards back from your discard pile, and notably Pokemon. I've noticed a few games where I've like had some basic and then it gets knocked out. Some basic that like evolves into some evolution and like it's knocked out, and I've never really gotten a chance to get it going. And then the game just kind of falls in a weird way where I kind of just can't really get value. I got all these dead cards in my hand, and it's kind of unfortunate. The dead cards being the evolutions. So I would like to see something that recovers Pokemon. Not exactly sure how to do it. You don't just want people to be playing one Pokemon and looping that Pokemon the whole time. But also, if you're playing an EX, then they could have to go through two of the same EX, and then they're just going through the one Pokemon, right? So it's not like that's not in the game right now. It's just not in the game with 1 point Pokemon. This card definitely does not help evolutions as much as basics, which I do understand. So I don't know exactly how I do it. I was thinking you could include the card, you could make the card a Rescue Scarf, which is a tool card, which if it's attached to a Pokemon and it's knocked out by damage from an attack, okay, would be discarded. Then you put that Pokemon into your hand. This includes all the evolution, like the entire evolution line. And then it says you discard the other cards attached. That doesn't really matter for this at all. Those would be the energy cards, which are not in pocket. There's regular energy, which would go to the discard. It couldn't go to your hand, and going back to the energy zone doesn't do anything. So, Rescue Scarf, though, I think would be a really cool addition to Pocket. I think something like Max Revive could be cool. Maybe something like Rescue Stretcher, which is a recovery card. There's or maybe Rescue Stretcher slash Sacred Ash, I think is the card. Which is actually coming back to the game. If you didn't know, it's coming back to standard. But anyways, shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from your discard. I'd say it should just be shuffle 3, which is also like Rescue Stretcher, but the one option of Rescue Stretcher, which is a really cool card, one that I'm a big fan of. But anyways, tell me down below if you think recovery would be good as well. I think it would be cool. And tell me if there are any other cards that you'd want to see from the regular TCG or just that aren't from the regular TCG in Pocket. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. Join me as a channel member as well. I got some cool stuff going on there. But I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.